Today we have a second session of interviews with Jow Taiwo. Today's topic is actually very special. The topic is about the governmental structures and organizations and the possibilities to make it better, and what are the possibilities and what kind of methodologies can be used there, and how to implement it. Jow, I think this is very actual topic nowadays, because this governmental organization, especially in our region, probably has to be somehow reformed as an organization. What is your opinion? What are the opportunities in the governmental structures and organizations to be done for make it better? Let's say.
Right. Thank you for the invitation. The first thing which I see in governmental organizations is for them to really understand that the whole world, starting from manufacturing organizations, going to service companies, and now as a tertiary or the third sector, as it's called, they are also supposed to be keeping pace with manufacturing and services as well, because they should not be left behind in the different type of improvements going on in the world today. And that's where I see the opportunity. I've heard that some governments in different parts of the world have embarked on improvement, but in our region where we are, maybe there are some, but I've not heard about it. That's not to say that they're not doing good things, but what we are trying to say is they have to unlock the potential which they have in their operations, and that's where the improvement is going to come from. It has taken even the service organizations, the service industry, a long time to realize that a kind of initiative which was going on in those days in manufacturing is also relevant to them. So at that time, you begin to hear organizations saying, oh, that is for manufacturing companies, it's not for us. And now the service companies are using it and they are successful with it. It is now the turn of governmental organizations. They may be asking the same questions. This is not invented here, but then we need to try to push hard to those companies, to those organizations, and let them understand the implications and the results they can get from this kind of thing. Probably you've heard that people, even in manufacturing, they think that when you have to do improvement, it comes with layoffs. No, that's not the story. There are a lot of things that the government of any company will want to have done, but in most of the cases, they don't have enough people. So if we are talking about even optimizations, we may have to optimize human resources as well to be able to give other tasks to them. In other words, you're trying to say that you want to keep the cost on the same level and you want to get more things done in the right quality. So that's basically the opinion I have about why do improvements, why do they have to excel in most of the things they do. So, simply.
So, again, I will keep my style of looking for messages in your speech. So the message is that the optimization in governmental structure does not mean to fire people and to reduce the cost of human resource. However, so it's just to optimize the human resource, and after that to use the human resource which you free for something more.
Yeah, there are a lot of work to be done. To the extent that sometimes you don't really know where the expertise are. I think, for example, if manufacturing is doing a lot of trainings for their employees, governmental organizations will have to be doing a lot of trainings for their employees. Now, they may not have the right settings, but first of all, you need to understand whether those competencies are in there. And it's part of the analysis stage when you realize, okay, do we have the competencies? Do we have to bring the competencies from outside? If you have the competencies inside, why do you want to bring competencies from outside? So I mean, it's the same message all over the place. But probably you have to focus this on the abilities or on the structures of governmental organizations. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, then the next question is that, okay, so there is an opportunity, let's say, to make the governmental organization better and better working, making more benefits to a society, yeah? And what sort of methodologies can be used, to
yeah, I would think if you're talking about governmental structures, I would think first of all, I would take a step back and think first of all that what is the goal to be accomplished when it comes to governmental structures? Think about it for a little bit, for a while, and you have different answers which are legitimate by themselves. The first thing is the government is supposed to serve the people. Now, in that sense, I'm using the word service. It needs to provide certain services to the people. And if you like, you may say the overriding methodology should be something like people service excellence. That's what I want to achieve. If you use business terms, you'll be saying things like client service excellence. Now, that sounds very much like what we talk about in operations. Operational excellence is what you want to achieve, but you are translating it into the context of service organization. And if you understand what the goal is to perform in the eyes of the client, in this case the people, who the government is supposed to be serving, or who the government is serving, and having the comfort of those people, render quality service. That means you can put a lot of methodologies together, from even things like, I would say, Six Sigma type methodologies to even lean type methodologies. But if you want to be much more specific, I would really say the type of program you need to run is rather the client service excellence for this kind of organizations. And that's going to consist of many, many things. Yeah.
So, but generally speaking, so there is not too much difference between, let's say, business-oriented organizations and like manufacturing or service providers and the governmental, because as I understand it, the workflow and the processes are still workflow and processes, and the same methodologies can be implemented.
The same methodologies could be used. You have to adapt. You have to understand the content and the context in which those organizations operate. When I'm saying the same things could be used, I mean like, if you first of all understand what the context is. I'll give an example. If you're running projects in manufacturing organizations, they're likely to tell you that one of the things you need to pay attention to is the performance, is the time and the cost, right? In service organizations and governmental organizations, you still focus on the same thing, but you have much more emphasis on performance when it comes to governmental organizations. And in other words, the focus are going to be different. Just like in manufacturing organizations, you have materials transformed. In service and governmental organizations, you have to use a lot of human resources. Sometimes you may not have them. Sometimes you may be asking the question, what is the level of their competency? What can you give more? How they need to interact with people. I mean, the people working in the governmental industry should not forget that their major role is to interact with the people and to act as if they are the government themselves, to do good service to the people, to know the source of information that the people are looking for. If it takes me 5 days to do something which I can do in 2 days, you understand what I'm saying? I've already lost 3 days. And I want the government to gain those 3 days to use it to do something else. So that's the message here.
Yeah, so actually you're saying that in daily life, many people can say that, okay, in some places you can see a lot of HR resources which are not utilized properly, but in some places you see that there are not really enough people. Yeah, that's what this is
exactly
the daily picture of the
right.
Yes.
Right. And you can also think about the other thing, which is all about the infrastructure behind it. You may have the right people. If you don't have the right infrastructure, because the amount of information that travels through governmental structures are huge ones. Imagine what it takes to get a funding from the government.
Right.
You have to do certain paperwork. Someone needs to go through all those paperwork and then make a decision. Now, if you have 500 companies applying, you can imagine the amount of work they have behind. What is the infrastructure behind to be able to make them to do a very good job,
Right.
which is not making them having headaches in the night because they need to be enjoying their night, you know. So that's the mentality that we need to be thinking of in this case.
Right.